What is going on, everyone? My name is BoIt and I'm back with some more Age of Titans action. Spawning in the right hand side of the map is EasiestBestGod. This time I am correct, it is actually Magyar. Last game I casted I got Smurf of SPOEFs confused with Magyar just because they played so similarly, really. But that's my fault. He's whatever. This guy is actually Magyar, and in the left-hand side of the map, spawning in the red color, is ArmyCore playing Oranos. So this is an ISIS versus Oranos on Tundra. So this map is very high hunt. It's very aggressive. It's got many of the gold mines in the middle of the map, but they do have a couple of those safe back gold mines. We do see one over here for both players. So the map is indeed fair. The town center spawns, though, are heavily in favor of our red Oranos player. He's going to easily be able to secure 4 of those town centers if he so chooses to do so, unless Magyar can be aggressive enough to push back the power of the Oranos player ArmyCore in order to gain map control and get that town center. Funnily enough, if Magyar were to get map control, he would not be able to get 4 town centers on this map just because they're so lovely for ArmyCore. He does not actually need map control to grab those. So yeah, this map is Tundra. All the above is good, and we'll move on from there. So generally in this matchup, it comes down to whether or not the Egyptian player can outlast the flood of the Oranos player, getting gold mines, and then once Egyptian hits their power spike, make a push before the Oranos player can get to that Mythic Age, that Titan Age, and get that Titan out. They really need to shut that down. And then if they don't actually, well, they obviously have to put enough pressure onto them so that if the Titan comes out, it doesn't ruin the game for them. They don't lose the game. If the Titan comes out, they have to then deal with the Titan with a mass amount of priests. Remember that the Titan does cost 20 population, so you can invest 10 priests into taking that Titan down without having to worry about the rest of the army. But because the Titan's so strong, you actually need to invest more like 20 priests or 30 priests at a time, and most of them are probably going to die. So you're going to have like 4,000, 5,000 gold in the bank, or have an incredible trade route coming in order to deal with that Titan. So it's much more preferable to do that. We do see a first monument going up for Magyar. We see the standard 4:30 advance time for ArmyCore coming out here, I believe. Does he have wood coming in? He does, yeah. So standard advance time for ArmyCore, standard Oranos shenanigans. This game was played back in the day. By back in the day, I mean probably like 2009, 2010. I've had to jump into my replay archive for this game. I actually was planning on casting some other games, but at the moment RTS Sanctuary is down because of server maintenance. It's been having some issues recently, so the guys who are hosting it and in control of the finer tunings of the website are actually trying to fix that for us as we speak. As I speak right now, it might be fixed by the time this video gets up. Hopefully, fingers crossed, so I can keep on putting some more videos out there. Also, to those guys who are wanting more regular videos, I'm sorry, it's not actually possible. I'm not a god. I don't have as much time as I'd like to at the moment. I did want to post like a game a day this month. Hasn't happened as of yet. I'm going to strive for that to happen, or at least post 5 games a week over the next 2 weeks. So you guys look out for that. I'm definitely going to try and do that. If I don't at least get 5 games out, I'll do a bunch in one day and just chuck them all out there in one day, and we'll see what happens there. We do see that ArmyCore is now going through Prometheus right now. He's going to be hitting that at the 4:30 mark roughly. Magyar going through... wanted to go through Bast, but instead changed to Anubis. He sees this gold mine in the back of the map. Let's see his vision. He sees the gold mine in the back of the map. He sees the town center here. So he's going to go Anubis. He's going to secure this town center. He's going to do some sort of semi-fast heroic, I believe. I don't think he's going to be able to pressure enough in order to take map control against Oranos, but I don't think he's going to try that. But with the thing about Anubites is they can distract the Tomar really, really well. And that's something that's really important when you're classical fighting, because if you don't distract the Terma, then they can just sort of focus fire the slingers in a way that they don't waste arrows. If you manually focus fire all of your Terma onto one slinger, you're going to be very inefficient with your damage, because about 3 or 4... Well, okay, we'll talk about Toxotoads because I actually know this one. 3 hits from a Terma, a medium Terma, kill a unupgraded Toxotoad. So if you have 12 Terma, you should be splitting them up into 4 or 5 and then focus firing like that. And we do see the patented Promethean Offspring raids by ArmyCore coming in here, but EasiestBestGod Magi has already seen this in a vision, gets that preset immediately to deal with ArmyCore trying to raid there. So he's going to get that Anubite out. He wants to protect this location. He doesn't quite have enough gold for the town centers because he's chucking up a barracks, he's chucking up a second monument, wants to get those Anubites coming out. He's got 8 villages on the food. We do see ArmyCore on the other hand has got his barracks up, he's got his counter barracks up, so he's getting those Murmillo and the medium Terma out right away, using that Valid God power there to upgrade 3 of his Terma and 1 of his citizens into heroes. Remember that Valor can affect 3 units and 1 villager, so whenever you want to use it, you should use it on a villager as well, because that's going to make the most out of it. You never want to really be inefficient with your god powers, and that's just a way that you can continue to do the right thing with your god powers. You do see the Anubite trying to pick off this Oracle Scout right here. It chooses not to finish it off, instead saving those hit points. I probably would have finished that off and then ran it, because you can just run it back to the priest and heal up. Like, you can take like a couple more hits from that Terma without any fear of dying. Sure, there's a shockwave there, but I don't think he would use shockwave just to kill off 1 Anubite. It's not the biggest deal there. He'd probably prefer it to happen, actually. ArmyCore with 3 villages on gold. I just want to check. He's getting that early second town center up. This isn't something that he does nowadays, or at least I don't think he does nowadays, just because it's generally more efficient, and you can do more if you invest more into your army early and then get a later town center, like maybe 9:30. It allows for more aggression and more containment, and it's safer because you can get that pressure on your opponent, so you can boom a bit better. You don't let that opponent have any breathing room. You do see that this town center looks like he wants to go up now for Magi. Magi does have the resources. He's going to get that up right now. He's got 4 villages on that. See, if ArmyCore didn't grab this town center right now, he could get his entire army and move in on this location here. He's only got the 2 Axemen, 6 slingers or 7 slingers, and a couple of Anubite. If he had a standard 730 army at this point, he'd be able to move in, shockwave this army, pick off all of the slingers immediately, or so very quickly, and then make a push onto this location. Anubis, this Plague of Serpents would be used, however, so he might not be able to push through completely, but he definitely put that pressure onto Magi, and he might be able to push that off. But I see he's not really thinking about the town, so he's like, okay, I can't really do anything. Maybe he's just trying to put some pressure on elsewhere. Contain Magi. He realizes that this gold mine's going to be very difficult to prevent. Maybe he's going to go, okay, well, there's no point in putting this pressure on. Yeah, so that's probably his thinking there. There's very little point in putting pressure on. I'm just going to get the greed happening and get that second town center up really early and get the economy going. We see medium slingers has been upgraded for Magi, so his slingers are going to be doing a little bit more damage. They do like 300% damage to Terma, whereas Terma do 300% damage to slingers. So we'll see if that makes much of a difference there. We do remember that the slingers are actually much more accurate than the Terma. Terma are actually incredibly inaccurate, so they're going to have to retreat out here. I don't think that fighting here is going to be very well for him. EasiestBestGod Magi does have 84 pop to the 98 pop of ArmyCore, but remember, ArmyCore's army is spread out a little bit. I think it's got a couple of units off here and here, and so he's really got to cut back on the population and just risk it for what it is. Looks like Magi's still only producing slingers from 1 barracks. This is something that he used to do with Ra a lot. He used to just he'd do a fast heroic, but he'd chuck a barracks down and he'd just auto queue slingers to scout around. We do see the Anubite now, just raiding a little bit, being a bit of a nuisance. They're not going to pick off any of these villages because of the mana here. but we'll see. A Shockwave here could potentially kill a couple of these invites off, but they're just going to retreat out there. I don't think any of them are going to die, just because the Terma are so inaccurate, and he can just retreat them back to his priests, heal them up, and they'll be fine. However, ArmyCore might want to make a push now, just because those Anibites are a little bit low on HP. He's probably sitting at the 104, sitting at 115 population, almost 130. So he can make a push in now and start trading without fear of anything, because he's at full pop, and he can just continue to spam units without any issue. We do see those slingers now focus firing. Some of those melee, probably not the most efficient, but he's going to pick off one of those for an obelisk. It's a good trade there, and he's actually going to lose an Anibite now. Ooh, he does manage to keep that one alive, so you might want to just retreat him into the back and give him a bit of tender love and care. We do see that again, trying to pick off these obelisks for some reason. They seem to be a point of contention. He just wants no line of sight to be seen by Magi. The Shockwave does go down, the Plague of Serpents does go down, so this and also the Mercenary coming out now, so ArmyCore is probably going to want to retreat here. That's actually 40 by 90. Hopefully you can't hear that rain, it's pretty loud at the moment, so hopefully it doesn't take away too much from what's going on. We'll just pretend it's Ra, and Ra is just constantly using the rain god power. We do see these mercenary are out here, so that's actually 90 gold each, and so 99 by 4 is what, 36, so he's actually 360 gold wasted there, and Magi's just setting them off randomly. I don't know what he's doing with those, but yeah, if you're ever really early in the game, like pre 15 minutes, and you see your opponent using making mercenary, it's not always worth it, but very often, more often than not, worth it to retreat, wait for those mercenary to die, and then push back in. Obviously, you have to use your intuition and your instinct to say, okay, well, he's making those mercenary, but I'm so much further ahead that I can push in here and deal with the mercenary, right? But at this point, it was much more... it was much better for ArmyCore to retreat there, make Magi waste that 360 gold on those mercenary, and then come back and fight at a later spot, which looks like he's going to be doing so now. But remember, the Shockwave was used, so that's going to spell a little bit of trouble for ArmyCore, because he loses so much power when he doesn't have Shockwave up. Because if you could Shockwave this army here right now, then they would be in so much pain. We do see the Anibit's going to come back in here, and this is where the amazingness happens of Magi's micro. He just moves these Anibites in, and as soon as they start getting targeted, he runs them around. Look at them. They take no damage when they're running around, and he gets the jump back up, moves them back in, he loses a slinger, and then they automatically focus that Anibite back again. Because of the way the AI works on the focus fire, if they are focus firing a unit and it dies, and then they have to refocus fire the closest unit, which would be the Anibite if he moves them back in. So that perfect micro there by Magi makes a fight which would more often than not be in the favor of the Oranos player, be in favor of the Egyptian player. Well, not quite in favor, more like 50-50. I don't think either player really won or lost in that fight, but when it comes down to it, ArmyCore is spamming units really, really heavily, and Magi's not really. He's actually in the heroic age now through Nephthys. He's got Ancestors ready, and he's chucking up a Migdol stronghold just to secure this gold mine for a little bit longer. He's got 3,000 gold left in it. If he gets this Migdol up, then there's no way he's going to have to worry about securing this. And with the Scorpion Man as well, he can really deal a lot of damage with that special power, which is special ability, which is that poison thing. And it actually does 18 hack damage a second, I think, which is actually really big. I'm not sure exactly how it works. It might just be 18 hack damage over 12 seconds. Or something like that. I don't know. It's a lot of damage, really, and it's like an AoE damage as well. So that's that as well. So Magi's now going to have to think about how he's going to secure this second gold mine. He's sitting at 3 town centers to 2 town centers. He's got his Migdol up. He's producing some War Elephant to deal with those Terma. If you ever fight an army of counter archers, that's Terma, that's Peltast, and that's Slingers, building Elephant is the perfect counter, because unless your opponent has godly micro and can just ignore the War Elephants, they're gonna eventually start attacking those those war elephants, and they're going to do no damage to them because the war elephant has 40% pierce armor and has like 495 base HP, which is absolutely ridiculous for a unit. It's 5 population, granted, but it's absolutely ridiculous. And these are Anabot coming over here to deal with this raid that ArmyCore is doing. ArmyCore actually picked off a Pharaoh there, which is really big considering Magi needs to move out and build this Migdol up, and he wants to get that up as fast as possible. And so I'll probably chuck it over on this side, just because that's going to prevent any raids coming in from here, and he can then position his army on this side, which is going to prevent the actual spam of units, which is going to come out from here. So that's really clever positioning, and you can grab that gold mine with his current gold mine sitting at 1,000 gold. So it's going to be really nice for Magi there. And Magi's just going to retreat his units here. He doesn't really need a fight at the moment. He needs to wait for those war elephants to come. And he needs to probably get that upgrade for war elephants. You just see that Magi's pattern style of not getting armory upgrades is working out for him in this game. He does have a lot of resources in the bank, but I can assume that he's got a plan for those. Otherwise, he would be getting maybe copper armory upgrades or something like that, because they're really cheap and they're actually really good. Personally, I say don't take note of this style, because while it works for Magi, I don't know how it works for Magi. I can never get it through my head how he's so good, because he never gets armory upgrades until like really late in the game. If he had gotten copper shields, then that would be 45%, I think. Might be even more. And those terms would deal probably 1 damage a shot. Maybe 2 damage. They'll deal 2 damage a shot instead of 2.5 or something like that. So it's pretty big, considering how many of them there are. And now Magi's making a push, and he's got 2 of those actions. He's got the 1 Migdol Stronghold, auto-queuing elephant here. He's got some siege towers down, and the Ancestors is coming down. So he does manage to pick off 1 building there. And remember, these elephants do have a bonus against buildings, a 200% bonus versus buildings. They have 15 hack. I don't think they have any crush damage. No, they don't. So they've got 15 hack damage here. So that's going to be dealing 30 hack damage to the military barracks, which have 30% hack armor. So really, they're going to be only dealing maybe... Actually, did I get that right? No, 200%. That's 45 damage. So that's even more. So they're really good. They're really good to take out buildings with. So you can see there's 8 here, and he's probably got... Yeah, there we go. That's the... heavy elephant research coming in. The timing on that is really, really nice, hitting that town center at the exact right time against an army of Arcus and medium Terma. This is actually huge, because those units don't deal anything. The 40% pierce armor is huge, and we see the priest doing work on the dryads, so it's really no issue there. And those siege towers are also soaking up a bunch of damage from those medium arcs. They actually deal only 1 damage to the siege towers when they're attacking them, but they do eventually take them down if you have enough. So it's good for Magi, because they managed to soak a bunch of damage, and it's only 200 wood, 100 gold for those siege towers to prevent their own units to take any real damage. So Magi's actually running low on gold at the moment. He's only got 11 villages on gold because his gold mine just extinguished there. He's going to need to transfer a bunch of villages over to gold at the moment. He's actually building another Migdol stronghold in the face of ArmyCore. That's really, really nice, because that's going to force ArmyCore to fight under our it's going to force ArmyCore to fight under arrow fire, tower fire, like Magi is forced to fight against the palace. And the biggest thing is that if you empower the Migdol stronghold, it actually continues to shoot more damage and more arrows. So it's not only more arrows come out of your Migdol stronghold, but more damage. So it's always worthwhile if you're fighting with a Migdol stronghold to keep that empowered, unless you really want to pick off a myth unit or something like that. But the damage from the Migdol is generally more than picking off the myth unit. But if you've only got the one hero to pick off those myth units, it might be more worth it. You got to weigh it up, but Chariot Archers and War Elephant are now the army composition of Magi's choice at the moment, versus the medium Arcus Terma Dryad Milo sort of spam of ArmyCore. I think if I was ArmyCore, I'd probably start building some catapults, just because they're pretty weak under the Migdol fire, but what they can do is they can pick off elephants extremely well. So it's a bit of a trade-off there, but he's getting the heavy destroyers out because he really needs to push through here and take this location out. So basically, Army Corps sitting at 2 town centers to the Magyar's 2 town centers, but he's getting his back town center now. So Magyar's probably going to be able to push in here and take out the palace once he hits that full population, or he's waiting for something. I'm not sure what. He's not waiting for armor upgrades because he doesn't get those. You do see the trade-off for the armor upgrades is always economy, so you can always see that Magyar has an incredible economy going for himself. And Magyar going to be moving in here, trying to take out this palace at the moment. If you can get those siege towers onto the palace, and that's going to be huge, but there's so many units here just to prevent this, and you see the pathfinding issues here, but Magyar just going to be able to really pick off units really nicely with the chariot sitting in the back line. They do 9 damage per second, which is actually huge. Especially because they have such long range. And now we see this is pretty crazy. He sends 18 villagers in while there's the palace still there. He can get that pharaoh to come and sit onto the town center as well to get that up incredibly quickly. As soon as he picks off that town center, that palace, I'd send the pharaoh onto the town center, and you see that going up incredibly quickly. It's absolutely ridiculous, and the repair rate of stuff as well with the pharaoh empowering is huge. So if you ever see you ever want to prevent excuse me, if you ever want to prevent a building from going up, kill the pharaoh, or we'll keep it building up. Keep it building up or go up. Kill the pharaoh first instead of trying to pick off the villagers, and that would be really strong. I think if Magyar built a mid-doll over here, it'd be really nice, just because that location's pretty uninhibited at the moment. But it looks like ArmyCore doesn't want a piece of that. He's going to send a couple of those Milo over there just to stop this from happening. Magyar's going to retreat out. He's still got 800 gold left on his home gold mine, and he's got some trade routes starting at the moment. He's got 2 auto-queued markets at the moment, and he's not sitting at full population, which is a big deal. If you're sitting at full population and you've got no gold, what happens is once you lose your army, you can't keep it populated. Your camels will come out as you lose your army, but you're going to be at this point where you've got no army for a little bit because you've got no gold to keep it going. And we can see ArmyCore is trying to prevent this trade route at the moment. He's got a couple of units over here, but really they're not going to be doing all too much unless he gets some destroyers out. And Magyar can just move through this location, plow through it, and then go to that bottom town center eventually. The point now, when you're from Magyar's perspective, is where do you have to fight? At the moment, defending is important because he's getting attacked. But this is going to stop because you can't feasibly fight under here if you're behind in economy and you're behind in army upgrades and army composition and all the other good stuff. So ArmyCore has to be thinking like, how do I get this town center back? Do I keep on fighting it? It's not really the best choice. Perhaps maybe going for that Titan Age or something like that might be better for him. But definitely the Mythic Age is a good place to be for ArmyCore. ArmyCore's actually got a fair few resources at the moment, and he's sitting at almost full population. He doesn't have that. I don't understand why people don't get the wood upgrade. It's really good when you get bowsaw and stuff like that. Especially if you've got 20 villagers on wood. That's actually really huge. And those Stymphalian birds actually deal a lot of damage, so you really need to get those priests onto them. We don't see the priest with an upgraded funeral rites, these funeral rites, so they're not going to deal all too much damage. But with funeral rites, it's actually huge. So whenever you're at this point in the game, if you have this much favor, then you should probably get funeral rites just because it's worth it. like that ad. Just because you're worth it. Magyar picking off those Stymphalian birds really nicely though. You can see that the damage they take is huge, even though they don't have funeral rites. So they die really slowly, but Magyar's just going to keep on pushing through here. This is sort of a spam war, but it's a spam war that because you're Egyptian, you're going to win at this point. You hit a power spike. Granted, if ArmyCore can really, if he can spam into this for long enough and get his economy going strong enough, then he'll be able to get to that Mythic Age and hit that early game power spike that he needs to. But we'll see if he can manage to do that or not. Again, like this gold mine over here is really important. We can see that Magyar's mining from this gold mine at a bit of a precarious spot here. He really needs to get a market up over in this corner because that's probably the best spot to do so. And these markets are going to get picked off really soon by these destroyers. Remember, they have a 400% damage bonus versus buildings. So that's really nice as well. I think the interesting thing about what's it called? I had a thought, and I was going to say something, but I don't know what it is anymore. Oh, the interesting thing about the counter barracks units. Well, actually, it's not really interesting. It's kind of standard. I was just going to say that they have a really low base damage and a really high percent bonus, but that's not really important because we knew that. Yeah. Anyways, I was going to say so because of the heavy destroyer. They've only got 6 hack damage, but they are a siege unit, so they're not going to be able to really do that much damage. My thought process, kind of stupid there. So we'll just take it back, pretend like I didn't say anything, and we'll just continue on. Magyar's still trying to push in through ArmyCore's army here. He's going to retreat out here. He can continue to fight on these palaces, but the palaces are focus firing the heavy elephants and the siege towers. Remember, while you focus fire your arcus and your heavy mobility, you also need to focus fire the palace. If you focus them onto the archers, it's going to do more damage, and that's what you really want to do. You don't really want to deal a minimum amount of damage if you can do a maximum amount of damage. So we'll see these siege towers breaking through here. That siege tower is still sitting at 26 damage. It's like ArmyCore didn't really want to pick off that one. Sometimes it's good to click on the units that are in front of you and you see what happens there. See another Migdal stronghold going up into the face of Magyar. We see the market now going up in the back corner. He can actually delete this market now, but he probably wants to wait until most of these camels have dropped off their gold mine, their gold. I think that eventually I think that camel AI is really bad. They should go to this market, yeah, if they're moving back to it. But if they hit this market and then that market's up, they should probably go to the one which is further away. It's kind of stupid that it only goes to the one that it was going to originally, because you don't tell it to go to that one. You tell it to go to the town center. So, I mean, you can click on them again and you can tell them to go to the town center again and then not do it. But it looks like ArmyCore is going to do the favor for Magyar, pick off this market and force those camels to go back to the other side of the map, which is fine. It's fine for Magyar because he wanted that to happen, really. There's going to be this point, though, where Magyar's sitting at no gold, but he's sitting at 169 pop, so that's fine. He's still got 700 gold left on this gold mine, and after that gold mine dies, he can actually use those villages to take down buildings. So that's always a bonus. We do see dryads coming out for both players now. This is the risk of putting your Hesperid's tree in an aggressive spot to prevent god powers. You can actually lose those Hesperid's tree. I think that'd be a really interesting change to the game as well. If you could control monuments, the monuments could shift control like Hesperids could. I think that might even actually balance. We probably wouldn't balance out monuments for ISIS. It'll be interesting. I think it'd be pretty cool. Anyways. Imagine if this game, the entire game, you could shift control of all buildings based on how many units you have next to them. That's actually would be really cool. You should all PM Nakamura and tell him to make a mod of the game whereby every unit has Hesperid's tree properties or Plenty Vault properties. Except they can also be killed as well. Because if they can't get killed, it's pretty stupid. So you'll see Egyptian players building like citizens and stuff like that. That'd be super sick. All right. That's enough of my rant. We do see Magyar now getting a commanding control of this game. He's moving in here. He's got this Migdal stronghold up. and he just keeps on building him. This is why this is why he called this god the easiest best god, because it's really easy to play the god, and he's actually probably the strongest. There's a couple of disputes about that at the moment, where Set's actually kind of stronger, but that's not because Set's easier by any stretch of the imagination. Set actually contains a lot of skill in terms of the early game. Of course, the late game where Magyar's sitting at the moment, it's the same sort of thing. But it doesn't change the fact that Set's pretty weak early. Magyar really needs to think about where he's fighting at the moment. He needs to take out this location. If he takes out this location, he wins the game. And it looks like he's sending his units over here. ArmyCore at the moment sitting at 130 of 145 population. Not going to be able to do all too much here to prevent this push in at the moment. He's got his units up on this top side of the map with the Migdol stronghold going up. He's actually was up there for a while. I missed that one, but he doesn't really need the gold mines anymore because he's got so much gold in the bank. Magyar hitting the Mythic Age through Osiris here and casting that Son of Osiris onto the Pharaoh here. The Pharaoh is actually, Son of Osiris actually deals a ridiculous amount of damage. He's really squishy, so he dies really easily, but if he gets off like 50, I don't know, if he gets off a bunch of those shots on an army, they just melt. If you ever want to try a really cool strategy, it looks like this game's almost over. If you ever want to try a really cool strategy with Egyptian, either Ra or Isis, if you do a fast heroic against a Norse army, and the Norse army builds throwing axemen, and you use that Son of Osiris on those throwing axemen, they melt. They melt so fast. Anyways, ArmyCore does tap out. Says GG. This was a really interesting game because it showed how aggressive map control doesn't always win if you don't pressure. I still think that if ArmyCore had done a 9:30 second town center instead of the 6-minute second town center and really pressured this corner, he probably could have won the game. I would have won the game really early as well, but he chose not to and chose to do the safe route. Which, well, he got 3 town centers, but he didn't get that 4th town center up at any point. If he had that 4th town center up, he would have had 180 pop ish. If he had fortified town center, no, it would have been 160 population to the 130 or 130 something population of the Egyptian player. So that's that game. My name is BoIt. Thank you guys for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe in the box down below. I'm currently pointing at it, which you cannot see. And I'll see you guys next time.